Everything get bigger, man.
We good.
All right.
Let's get it.
Yo, what's going on, y'all, man? It's your boy Kris, and this
Theon.
is, and we are here with the Good Look Show, man. It's a show about life. We giving insights about content, growing, and how to be you in a world where it's hard to be true. Let's go. I just made that up. That was fire. That was
I'm
fire.
not mad at it.
That was
I'm not
fire.
mad at it.
That was fire.
I thought it was a pretty good intro for our first one. That was pretty good.
That was fire. I got to memorize it. It's going to be clean. That's fire. That's fire. But yeah, man, so we about to get into it today. This is the first show, low-key, kind of like the pilot. But you know, we always been flying.
Yeah.
Let's go. So yeah, man, we going to get into it, man. Today we probably going to be chopping it up a little bit about like our personal journeys, who we are, and what's going on like in our daily lives a little bit today. So I guess I'm gonna pivot to you because I've been talking a lot. I know it's been a little bit of time.
You're doing great, man. You're doing great. You can talk the whole podcast for real.
Don't do that.
You're the entertaining one.
Don't do that. That's not true. We both entertaining. We both entertaining. Different ways. Different ways, different plays. But
all right. Let's. We'll start with you.
Okay.
Tell the people a little about yourself, who you are, and what you do.
All right, man. My name Kris. I'm Theon friend. I know y'all here to see him.
That's it. That's all you need to know.
Exactly. I know y'all here to see him. You know what I'm saying? I'm just accoutrement. But I'm Kris. I'm a graphic designer, artist, lyricist, songwriter, rapper, performer, creative, marketing. I'm a dynamo. I'm the original multi-hyphenate before that was a term. I do a little bit of everything. People call me the joke, chocolate champ, Himothy, whatever you want, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm, any and all things. I'm with any and all things, man. If you got it and you need it and you got some money, I can do it. So that's me, man, in a nutshell. I'm from D.C., born and raised, Anacostia, Southeast D.C. Got twin brother, raised by my mother, my grandmother, single family, single mom household. It is what it is. But, I still made it here. Now I'm in sunny California, doing my thing.
Oh, for sure.
So, that's a little blurb. I get into a little bit. I get y'all bits and pieces as we grow in the show. So I think it's best you go, man.
That was good. I will start off by saying we are happy to have you out here. You were the last one to get out here, so we're happy to have you out here. The name is Theon. I grew up in Maryland. You and I met in college in DC.
Facts. What part of Maryland?
Southern Maryland. So
the beach.
The beach. Near Chesapeake and North Beach. It's funny because a lot of times when I say Maryland, people are just like, "Oh, Baltimore."
Facts. That's why I tried to let them know.
I got to be very clear. I don't claim that. Not that there's anything wrong with Baltimore.
No, man.
But I know people that are from Baltimore will be upset if you're not from Baltimore and you claim in Baltimore. Anyways, I've been a professional model for the last. We're in 2025 now. 12 years. That's wild, isn't it?
Hey, man.
That's wild.
Good looks.
Last 12, good looks. The last 12 years, I've reached that point in my career and in my life where I am transitioning more to directing and filmmaking and just producing, writing. And I'm sure we'll get into a lot more of myself later on, but I think that's a good start.
But what else you do? You more than that, bro. You got a lot of interests and facets, bro. You're an athlete.
I was an athlete. I played a little ball, little college basketball. I did a little amateur boxing for a little bit, and just the normal stuff. It's so funny out here. It's when you're a model, if you're actually a model, it's never just a model, right? You're either a former athlete or, for those that actually aren't working, you're a waiter or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? So. But I think it's been so long now that I've been doing modeling full time that I've forgotten all the other stuff that I've done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you're more than you a writer. You got scripts. You got shows, bro. Come on, man. You playing? He trying to be all humble.
Don't worry. We're gonna plug it during the season. We're gonna plug it during the season. Yeah. All of our viewers here are gonna translate over to that. You know what I'm saying? Make it easier for me once I segue into directing. You know what I'm saying? The next Quentin Tarantino. You feel me?
Okay, whatever you say, you know what I'm saying? You gotta be the first Theon though, man. You gotta be the first one.
You know what? And I can't even say I'm the only Theon because I'm a junior.
Oh yeah,
isn't that wild?
I didn't know that.
You can say you're the only Kris Stith. I cannot say that I'm the only Theon Holland.
I used to be the only Kris Stith that I Google myself. There are others.
There's other Kris Stiths?
Yes.
Spelled S-T-I-T-H?
Yes, S-T-I-T-H.
That's wild.
Different Kris, but same homonym, like sound, phonetically.
But it's spelled differently.
Yeah.
Not with the K.
Yeah, C.
Okay.
But they dark skin.
And
I was
and they have a twin.
No, they ain't got a twin. They ain't got a twin. They ain't got a twin. They got the whole package. They ain't got the whole package. They ain't got my whole, they ain't got my whole move list. But yeah, man. So, that's a little bit about us, man. But today, I think we want to touch a little bit about journeys, a little bit about relationships, a little bit about what we got going on and like how we ended up here doing this.
Yeah.
I think that'd be the best thing to do, bro.
Yeah.
So, I know my journey to California began all the way back in 2008. I know that sounds crazy because I just got out here in 2024 or 2023 because I've been out here for a year. But when I was in DC, living in the trenches low key, that's what they call it today. It was around the way when I was growing up, just living around the way.
Yeah.
But I just always had an affection or like a predilection for LA. The music, the culture, the lifestyle. It was something I just was interested in.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know how I would get out here, but it was something I just loved consuming. Even the movies, it just seemed so different than DC.
And this was in 2008.
Yeah.
Did you ever tell us this in college?
No, I never let y'all know that. You know what I'm saying? I keep my stuff close to the
Okay,
chest because
okay,
I didn't know what I was doing.
Okay. For sure.
The only thing I used to tell y'all all the time was I'm gonna be a stripper. I used to say all the time, like, Chris, what you gonna do? You graduate? I was gonna be a stripper, man.
Sexual chocolate.
Yeah, you already know. Black Tarzan. I had my hair even longer. I was like, I'm gonna get in shape, man. You know what I'm saying? Get on some hair on. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
Get slims, go to the Midwest, make all the money, man. With all the little housewives, they wouldn't have seen nothing like me.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's bring it back.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I was trying to come out here, man, and I applied to a bunch of schools in California, like a bunch.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
I applied to Stanford, USC, what's that? Long Beach, anything in California I applied.
Okay.
And I got into all my schools except Stanford.
Okay.
I got into every school, but nobody wanted to give me no money.
Okay.
Because my grades was great, but from my neighborhood, they was great. But for the like competition nationally, I only had like a 3.7 something. Okay. And people was graduating with like 5.0s.
5.0s. Yeah.
And that's like, and then my SATs only had like a 1380 or something crazy. Like I was like, man, that's good.
Yeah.
It's like, Chris, comparatively, no, it's not good. For your neighborhood, you're like the 1%. But in the nation, you mad middle, like you middle of the pack. I was like, but my personality, he's like, can't see that. So,
can't see that through. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of where my journey began. But where yours started, I get a little bit more to me.
To coming out to LA?
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't even have the aspirations of coming out here until we graduated. I think we graduated and then I had my job. I was working for DC Public Schools Office of Special Education, shout out. And I think as a 21, 22-year-old in that atmosphere, it was a lot to handle and manage. At that point, I had just, like a year or two prior, I had signed my first modeling contract, which our mutual friend, our boy Mike, basically set up for me. Because I had no aspirations of becoming a model either. I thought for sure at this point in my life I was going to be a full-blown therapist.
What type of therapist?
Cognitive behavioral therapist.
I thought you had to do something with marriage.
Oh yeah. I mean, if like initially probably I would have done marriage and family therapy.
This your marriage counselor. You going through it with your girl. He pull up, telling you how to treat your lady. Ain't no way. Couldn't be me. I mean,
or how to treat your man. You know what I mean? Like it goes both ways. But,
pause.
But I was just like, oof. Maybe I'll give this modeling thing like a real go. And then another mutual friend of ours, Brian, we came out to LA to visit a friend together, and I got signed on the spot while I was out here. Yeah. And they were just like, but we need you to be out here. And I was like, say less.
That's crazy.
Put in my 2 weeks. I had no savings built up. I didn't even bring my car out here. Nothing. We just left. I was like, Gotti, what you think? He was just like, let's do it. We came out here. We got an apartment sight unseen.
Yeah.
And we made it happen. We definitely took the path of most resistance, for sure. It's funny, my mom says that I have this thing where it's like, unless I like have to work hard and like struggle, I have like this internal thing where I feel like I didn't actually earn it. You know what I'm saying? Like I never make it easy for myself because I feel like it has to be hard for it to be worth it.
I know what you're saying.
You know?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, there's some validity to that. You know what I'm saying? Like and that's, whether that's a fault of mine or whatever the case may be, but I recognize that, and I recognize the pattern and the trend that I've had, because it would have made more sense for me to drive my car out here. It would have made more sense if I like stayed at my job for at least another month, you know what I'm saying? And just saved that paper and then came out, you know? But nah, I didn't do that. I wound up having to take public transportation when I moved out here. And as people well know, the public transportation out here in LA.
Excellent. Word to all the city workers, the municipal workers, you know what I'm saying? We see you and we appreciate you. Oh, my bad.
But when you're used to the public transportation in DC, you know what I'm saying?
Top of the line.
Yeah.
Cream of the crop. Best in the nation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
besides getting stabbed.
Okay.
Or robbed.
Okay.
Or stabbed and robbed.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Or assaulted, spit on.
Okay.
You know, word to Metro, WMTA. Metro open doors and closes caskets. Let's go. Let's go. But yeah, I was a part of that conversation when y'all was trying to move out here a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember when, come back to my story, I didn't end up coming out here because I got more money at AU. That's the school that offered me the most money.
Yeah.
So I ended up going to AU, and then I met y'all.
Yeah.
Through Mike. And then, you know, Mike was already friends with you.
Yeah.
And then Brian, he was your freshman roommate, which is serendipitous. Because then I met Brian like my sophomore year.
No. He wasn't my freshman. We met freshman year playing basketball, but then we lived across the hall from each other sophomore year.
Oh, I thought okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I met him.
We didn't live together until after we graduated. And then we ended up living together for like 4 years.
So y'all just lived, I thought y'all was roommates.
In college?
Yeah.
Nah, we were just friends.
Close.
But here's the funny thing, is that if Gotti tells a story, he'll tell it in a way that I over romanticized our friendship. He was just like, oh, he'll tell people to this day, he'll just be like, yeah, no, I didn't really know Theon like that. I just know he lived across the hall from me.
I don't know. I thought y'all was roommates, real life, for my whole.
Well, that's how we got along.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to say. I thought y'all was roommates. That's great.
Yeah.
That's news to me. Y'all just learned. So I know this man a brick. I didn't even know that. A brick. I really thought they was roommates.
Nah, we didn't live together until after college, and then we moved out here together, and we lived together for another few years. So we all together, I think we lived together for like 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I met you through Mike when y'all was doing, you know, he just brought you up one day.
Side story, before he goes into this story, let's go ahead and get this clear and out there. Whether if it was my own doing or whether if it was his doing or a miscommunication between us and Mike or whatever.
Yes.
I went our entire college days thinking that Kris did not like me.
There we go. Here we go.
At all.
Here we go.
Well, okay. He didn't hate me, but he didn't like me.
Here we go.
You know what I'm saying? I recognize that there were certain moments in college where, you know, college is college. You're having fun, you're going out, you know, you're drinking, you're partying and stuff like that. And I recognize how, because Kris doesn't drink. He doesn't drink at all.
Nope.
And so a lot of times when you're in environments with a group of people and you're having fun and doing this, that, and the other, you're just like, you got Kris standing off to the side and you're like, hey, Kris, you want a drink? You want a drink? Kris like, nah, I'm good. No, have a drink. Kris like, nah, I'm good. So I can see how that was probably really annoying for him. Because I know I was probably guilty of it. I also understand that he was probably jealous, you know, because, you know, he ordained himself sexual chocolate and, you know, thought that everybody else was going to abide by that. And then, you know, I'm on the scene and it was easy. You know what I'm saying? It was like, he felt like he had to try really, really hard. And then he had to look at me where it just came so easily.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm letting him get it off, man. Go ahead, go ahead, get it off. Go ahead.
That's it. No. You go ahead. Continue.
So the way my perspective, you know what I'm saying, is I didn't not like Theon. I thought you was cool. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because I always feel like this. If you're a good friend of mine, especially like Mike, that mean he your friend. That mean you a good people.
You good people.
That's how I view people. So if you introduce me to somebody, you good people, you automatically get this person's cachet. So when I met Theon, I was like, oh, he cool peoples. But what y'all was into, I wasn't into. And what was y'all into? The snow. The snow. I wasn't into the snow, man. They were skiers. You know what I'm saying? They were skiers. They was out here in the snow.
No, that's not fair. Whoa. You got to talk about freshman, sophomore year. It wasn't until junior going into senior year that I like locked that down.
It was blizzards every year, every day.
To be fair, where were we going to school at?
Regular college, not HBCUs.
Exactly. Not even a regular college.
You right. It was the whitest joints.
Okay.
It's the whitest joints.
Okay.
Yeah, you know.
It was winter year long.
100%.
Okay.
It was
okay.
If you want to build a snowman, you know what I'm saying? It definitely was that. You know what I mean? But at the same time, this is how it was on campus. Like you said I ordained myself sexual chocolate. That's not true. I got that name different way. But the point being, I was friends with all the black people on campus. So the girls would go.
I was too. What you mean?
The girls would come up to me, Kris. Y'all ain't know this. I was
all right. Let's
Kris.
Hear it. Let's hear it.
Kris,
let's hear it.
What's going on with your boys? What you mean, Mike, Theon? What's up with them? What you mean? What's up with them, man? I don't understand what you're asking me. I know what they're asking me. I want to hear them say it. I want to hear them say it.
You know what it is? And you know what it is? We can go ahead and get into this.
Okay.
You know what it is? It's college, first and foremost. And it's me, coming from my perspective, coming from me and coming out of high school and being used to a certain thing. Mm-hmm. It was a lot easier for me because bunnies were approaching me.
Facts.
Whereas
not me.
Whereas, you know, whereas the sisters, they weren't. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It was almost like they expected me to go to them.
100%.
So, but why am I going to do that when I have people coming to me and I'm just, you know what I'm saying? Is that fair?
Good looks.
Is that fair?
I hear what you're saying.
Okay.
So you saying it was easier? Why would I pursue when I can catch? Why I'm gonna chase when I can catch? I get what you're saying, but that's not the conversation I was having. What's up with your boys?
Okay.
They are not interested. Well, no, I don't even think that's it, man. It's just they just be, you know, they doing their thing, man. They figuring it out. Kris, what's up with you? What do you mean? What's up with me? I'm with someone who's on the spectrum. You know what I'm saying?
On the spectrum.
You know, the color spectrum. We in the
barely
brown. She's
barely.
Brown. She's
she was
brown.
light.
So
light.
I'm dark skinned. You know how that goes.
She was light.
You know how that go. I'm dark skinned. You know how that go.
Okay.
You know how that go. You know how that go. What we talk about, man? What we talk about? You know how that go. You gotta know your personnel. You gotta know your personnel.
If listen, if you're gonna be throwing us under the bus like this, Mike was going for like alpine snow.
Yeah,
like,
untouched.
Okay.
Untouched.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
All right.
100%. But he from Compton.
Be fair.
You
Okay.
know what I'm saying? He from Compton.
I was getting like the, you know, like the foreign snow. You know what I'm saying?
Boris Kodjo over here. Yeah, you know, I was in shoes from Germany.
You know.
She's from Switzerland. You know, she was Swiss. Yes, you know. Yeah, she's from a long line of Luxembourgs. Yes, indeed. But nah, that's just what it was, bro. That's just what it was. And I used to feel the talk, and I used to play a lot of interference. I didn't even know. So for you talking about, oh, I ain't like you, blah, 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 that's what I was doing. So the reason why we didn't really connect to get back to the topic was because me and Mike had a conversation, and he was always asking why I never came out with y'all. And I was like, because Theon and me are very similar. Mm-hmm. We do the same thing. Mm-hmm. We occupy the same space. Mm-hmm. It don't make sense to have two of us in the same place.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I ain't talking about like, you know, I mean just demeanor, how we come across. And I was like, you know, that's Theon's your friend for going out, going to play basketball, going to do this, going to do that. Yeah. Y'all going to chase, you know, the snow. That's not me.
That was the other thing that I had against you too. Not against you, but I was just like, it was kind of frustrating because you are tall. Yeah. You're tall and you got a big body. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, it only makes sense for you to join our rec league team and to just be banging down low, right?
Yeah.
So I was just like, come play on our team. And you were just no.
I played 1 year.
1 year.
Yeah, we almost won. We did win or we almost won?
We won every year. So whatever year you were with us, I'm sure we won.
We won.
So we won every year we played.
I did 1 year, but it just wasn't my thing. I do art. I'm rapping.
I know.
I had all these interests. I had 17 minors. Like
I think, and you know what part of it was is that I probably wished at that time that I had your height. Because if I had your height, I probably wouldn't have even gone to AU. I probably would have been playing D1 somewhere else. You know what I'm saying?
Listen.
So I'm just like, well, you have all this height and you squandering it in your room painting. You know what I'm saying?
Painting the jar,
you need to be painting the backboard with some dunks. Yeah.
That wasn't even my thing, man. That's another conversation. I'm supposed to play football. That's another episode. Another episode.
I can see you doing that.
Sure. That was my jam. Yeah, but anyway, fast forward, you know, we pieced it up since then. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
We pieced it up since then. And, you know, now we here. But to get back to the story with you and Brian, so me and Brian connected on the music tip. And that was like junior year.
Yep.
It's like late sophomore, early junior year. We worked on a music tip. He's an audio engineer at the time.
Yeah.
At the time I was doing art, but I was rapping more because of a situation that happened at AU. They threw away my whole art portfolio. So I had to find a new passion because I didn't have any history to refer to. And anybody that does art, like you need your old work to know how to do your new work. You know what I'm saying? Your reference material. Yeah. So I had to rebuild that. And that's what took me into rapping because it's something you can't throw away. You can write it down. You got it forever. So then we all connected. Y'all was supposed to go out to California. Brian gives me a call. Kris.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, Kris, we're about to move out to California. You should come with us. And I remember I was like, what? y'all about to move to California? And I'm talking to my grandmother about it.
Yeah.
I'm talking to my girl at the time about it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, they want to move to California, dog. And my grandma was like, well, you always wanted to move to California.
Yeah.
Because she know about the college. She was there when I was trying to make my college decision. And she's like, you stay home, you should do it. You know what I'm saying? She's like, I don't really want you to go, but if you're going to do it, do it. Then she, every time I talk to her since, it's wildfires, earthquakes, floods, the whole, it's just biblical stuff. But that's another story for another later in the episodes. But fast forward, I'm really thinking about the girl I'm with at the time, and I asked her, because she's from California.
Okay.
I'm like, yo, do you want to go back to Cali? She's like, no. And I was like, what? You don't want to go back home? She's like, no, why would I go back home? Like, I want to figure it out here. And I was like...
Well, that was the same thing with Mike, you know?
And I just was like, well, she don't want to go.
Yeah.
And it's at my time, I'm blinders.
Yeah.
I'm locked in. I'm locked in.
Yeah,
I'm locked in.
Sure.
I'm like, man, this girl, she might be the mom of my kid.
The
know?
one.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, man, I gotta see this through. I can't go.
Sure.
And then at the same time that I got that call, that's when I began my job and my career doing graphic design. So it's like, it'd be me uproot my whole life to take a chance just to try to be a rapper. And at the time, who was the big rappers? Wiz Khalifa, Currency, Big Sean, Drake.
Yeah.
You know, everybody, I'm talking about the legendary golden rap. That's who I would be trying to break into the industry with no buzz.
And you didn't have the tools that you have now.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? TikTok and all these other platforms.
No promotional tools.
So exactly.
None. So it'd just be me trying to get it off the muscle in California, and I'm not from out here. No money, no bread, just giant and curly hair, goofy. But I'm serious too, you know.
They didn't have like the reality shows too that you could have hopped on and like tried to perform and, you know, get a little clout.
I just didn't understand. I didn't see the vision. Like, how would I just couldn't see what I was going to do. So I just denied it. And that's why y'all ended up, and now y'all made it.
It's funny because I mentioned this already. I struggled. Like, first year and a half was rough. I had 2 jobs to try and support myself. Before the modeling really took off. And that was just because I didn't know the market. I was green. I was basing what I thought I should be doing off of the DC market, which is extremely different than any other market out there, especially LA. I thought because I had signed to one of the biggest agencies that I was about to make it. I'm with Ford, huh?
Tell people what Ford is.
Ford for the longest time has been like one of the biggest just conglomerate modeling agencies in the world. Ford and Wilhelmina, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? If you're growing up and you're hearing models or you're hearing them talk about the industry, Ford and Wilhelmina are at the top.
Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't know that getting into an agency was much more than just a name. It was the roster that they already had. You know what I'm saying? So if you get onto a roster where they have 3 dudes that already look like you that have already been working, you're going to get pushed to the back. You know what I'm saying?
So like a rookie.
Basically, you know, and sometimes, and I'm not saying that they did this, but sometimes they take you in to take you off the market. Because if you sign with somebody else, then you're going to be taking jobs from them and the talent that they already have signed. You know what I'm saying?
That's different.
I know. And that was stuff that I didn't know, you know?
I wouldn't even put that together.
Yeah. So I struggled. And then once I finally left that agency and I signed with a new agency and I went in, I had a manager at the time as well, but I went in and I was like, listen, this is what I want. Bop, 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 bop. This is the way I see myself being projected in the industry, and they were just like, for sure, we can make that happen. And it just was like, from there, you know? I won't get into Gotti's story because he's not a part of this podcast, but, you know, he where he's at now, where he started and where he's at now, again, drastically different. And I'm super proud of him. I'm super proud of us, you know what I'm saying, for sticking it out. Because they always say when you move out to LA, the first year or two, you know what I'm saying, you're either going to make it or you're not.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So we did. And I told myself I was going to. I tell you, I used to look and I used to see some of these models like Nathan Owens and these other guys that were doing all the Gap and all the Old Navy and like all the Calvin Kleins and everything. And I used to be like, I can do that.
That's fire. That's right.
I can do that.
That's the energy.
That should be me.
That's the energy.
You know what I'm saying?
But that's the energy.
And I get that from sports. You know what I'm saying? I never wanted to play with people that were as good as me. I always wanted to play with people that were better than me.
Facts.
Because that made me better.
100%.
So seeing those guys booking all these jobs and getting these campaigns, I'd literally be, once I finally got a car out here, I'd be on the phone with my mom and I'd be like, Ma, I see these guys that are doing it. to their credit, they're good at what they do, and they are good looking, good looks. But I'm not. I'm gonna tell you what, I'm damn good looking too, and I know that I can do it. And I did it, and it took for me to practice and get in repetitions, and that was something else that I didn't know. Especially as an independent contractor, when you want to be seen a certain way, you got to put yourself out there in a certain way.
And that's, you got to position yourself.
Exactly.
That's important.
Exactly. So, my cousin and I just started shooting, and because he wanted to be a photographer at the time, and our stuff that when we first came out with was garbage. It was so bad, but it was practice. It was reps. It was reps. And then after a while, I built up a portfolio only of his photos. Took it to my agencies, and next thing I knew, I was booking.
That's fire, though.
Booking.
But that's a LA story.
I have this conversation with people sometimes that either want to get into modeling or want to transition from a regular 9-to-5 to, you know, being an independent contractor. And I think that a lot of people don't realize exactly how much work it requires of you, because they think that once you sign to an agency, your work is done. But you forget that your agency takes between, what, 10 to 20%? You take between 90 and 80%. So who really should be doing the most work?
The 90-80.
Exactly.
But that's, I don't know, that's life though. Like, people don't realize you get what you put in.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so, and when you put that together in that frame of work, that's not just modeling, that's life.
Absolutely.
You know, like, my perspective has always been that same way. Like, I say I grew up in a single mama household, and like around the way, when you get what you put in.
Yeah.
So like, I remember I was growing up, you see the way I was living and stuff, it was tough. So you had to keep, again, you had to lock in and
Absolutely.
keep the blinders on to not fall.
Southeast DC. Oh,
man,
yeah.
Yeah, not to fall. It's like, I guess the equivalent out here would be like Compton or Rosecrans. Like, it's the same thing. Like, you get caught up quick, and next thing you know, you out the way. Like, I remember it was this dude in my neighborhood named Hollywood, and he was light skinned. He looked like Jello.
Okay.
He looked like that.
Okay.
He like one of the Ball brothers. You know, he had the wavy hair, I'll be sure, with the hair all wavy, bending corners, whoa.
Okay.
Whoa. And I'm not making light of him, so I was about to say something slick.
Oh, no.
I'm not, because people, I gotta go home.
Good looks.
I gotta make it home. I gotta be around the way. And I remember he got shot outside my window.
Damn.
And I was like, I had to be like 10 or 11. And I remember I heard him running past my window. And I knew who it was because they screamed his name.
Okay.
And you just heard, and you heard pop, 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 pop. Then the next thing you know, I just get I'm in the bed, I just put covers on my head, like, let's go protect me.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I remember the next day, somebody went to go take out the trash, and you just hear screaming. And then you hear a bunch of people going around the corner, going around the back, going around back, and they just got his body, and he got shot in the head.
Jeez.
And it's like, he was, like, they called him Hollywood around the way. And when I was growing up, anybody who's Hollywood is supposed to be the one that's gonna make it. Like, they're popular.
Yeah.
You know, they got all the skills. So he played basketball, football, baseball, was smart, good looking. Girls loved him. It was crazy. He had all the things, and it was over. And that's why I was like, you can't get caught up.
Yeah, absolutely.
You cannot get caught up.
Absolutely.
Cannot get caught up.
Absolutely. Man, speaking of nicknames, you remember what our RMC director used to call me?
Yeah.
Go ahead and tell the people.
Actually, I don't.
Yes, you do. You lying.
GQ. GQ. Called him GQ all the time.
All the time.
It wasn't my name.
And it was unprompted too.
It was my name.
Nah.
Big Sexy. Swear to God. Shout out to Ricky.
Shout out Ricky.
Shout out Ricky.
Shout out Ricky.
Shout out Ricky Davis, bro. Big Sexy. He used to say that all the time. Big Sexy.
You're right. As you said it, I can hear him saying it.
Big Sexy.
I can hear him saying it.
And the reason why he said it, because of my hair. He's like, I'm all you big and dark skinned, baby face, curly hair. I'll be out here running amok. That's what he used to say all the time. I was like, I don't know, I don't see it, Ricky. I don't see it, man. You know, they scared of me. I go into an elevator, people grabbing their pearls, man. It's crazy.
Nah, Ricky was a whole different beast.
Man, he was a good guy, man.
What you say on the regular? He said, line them up, knock them down.
Yep, line them up, knock them down. That was his joint, man. Ricky was good people, though.
He was good peoples, for sure.
But yeah, man, so I got to LA late, unlike y'all.
You did.
And I've been out here about a year. Made the decision after working 10 years in DC as an art director at a national union, international union. Won't say which one, you know what I'm saying? Word to Trump, so like, nah. But it was a great experience for me. I got tons of reps in the political realm, consulting, doing creative for Murray to Creative, which is where I got most of my skill set from. Because like Theon said, I was drawing and painting. I didn't have a traditional graphic design background. Like, my basis was totally different. So I had to teach myself. And that go back to putting that 90 and 20, you know? So it's like I'm getting 20% here at the job, doing flyers and banners and stuff. But the other 90% is me doing research, me studying, constantly trying to get caught up to everybody that's my peers. Because I'm dealing with people that's like professional videographers, professional photographers, professional consultants, professional marketers, professional organizers. And it's me like, oh man, you know, I'm just bright. You know, I'm just bright. I can understand. So after 10 years there, I decided to make the move because I felt like I released my cap. And I feel like you at the same point in your career, that pivot. You know, it's like it's time for me to pivot to do something else, take a new adventure. And that's what got me out here.
Yeah. And now we're here, you know, piggybacking off of that, like you said, we've gotten to this point and now we are sort of, you do something for a certain amount of time and you ask yourself, like, is this something that I want to be doing for the next 10 years? You know what I'm saying? And, you know, it's scary. It's scary essentially starting over. You know, you're not really starting over because you've built up networks, you've built up, you know, your expertise in certain areas, but you kind of are because you're not falling into what you normally would do. So, and that's also why we're doing this pod. Originally we were supposed to do this exactly almost a year ago. Exactly almost a year ago. We had set to do it, and then we tried to bring another buddy on, and we had started it. But it's hard sometimes, especially it's hard with 2 people, but it's harder with 3 people scheduling wise, you know, because our other buddy is just, he's busy. He's booked and busy. You know what I'm saying? He's jet setting. So, but we came back full circle and we're here and we're doing it. And yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited for what's next.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be an adventure, you know, and I think it's gonna be successful, honestly. But I always think what I'm doing will be successful.
Same.
So it's like, you know, I feel like if I'm involved, it's gonna go. That's how I just feel about stuff.
Same.
But you know, I think that we said a lot about ourselves, but what about our journeys? Like, what are we doing, like, personally? How you doing? Like, what you got going on?
Like, in the grand scheme of things, I'm good. Like, I can't complain. Like, right now in this moment, I, you know, like honest. I mean, you know everything, but you know, I'm Theon's hurting a little bit. You know, just relationships. You know, they are hard. They can be hard. You know, and just sort of navigating, you know, 2 adult individuals who have had their separate lives for so long and trying to make it work together. You're going to hit roadblocks, you know, you're going to hit, you know, little stuff along the way. Speed bumps, you know. But yeah.
I think it goes back to what we was talking about. Like, the thing we had, I feel like this episode is you get what you put in.
Yeah.
And in that, I think that you can want it for somebody, but you can't want it more than they want it for themselves.
Yeah.
And you got to see the potential in yourself and be able to leverage that versus what that person sees for themselves. And sometimes it's best for you to go on your journey.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they got to go on their journey. And maybe somewhere along the way, y'all might reconnect. But if it's not, you know, it is what it is, you know? And it's all about perspective. You know, you got to have a good look at the situation. See, I did that.
You know, and it's hard sometimes to do that when you're in it.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you do need to take space to be able to step back and then be like, okay, you know, where am I in all of this? Where is she in all of this? And where are we, you know, actually at? Because I'm operating under the assumption that we're here, you know, but we might actually be here.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. It's hard. It's hard because you feel like you're giving so much and you want to receive that back. And you are getting some of it back, but maybe not as much as you're putting in. And after a while, it starts to take a toll.
I think that it's important to understand what's your role you play in the position that position you occupy in your relationships with yourself and with the person you with. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know when I came out here, I was leaving a relationship. I left a relationship to come out here, and it's something that ate me up in the moment because I made the decision kind of spur the moment, but I had months to really think about it and think about it and think about it and think about it. And I had every opportunity to try to piece it up with the girl I was with at the time, and I just didn't. Because I was like, I got to try to, Because at the same time, I know every time I wanted to move out here, I always was in a relationship, and I didn't want to have somebody I'm with uproot their life to follow when I'm trying to follow my dreams.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like to have that, to put that on, that pressure on somebody. Like, yo, you really like me, you wanna be with me, come out here, move with me across the country. That's insane. You know. And at the time, the girl I was with, she not only had moved, she already had moved across the country low-key to even be in a relationship with me to begin with. And then she from another country, you know what I'm saying? But she's still black, though.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Wasn't in the snow, though. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like that was an attack.
But you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's just something, it was just something I had to do. I knew I had to pursue it. I knew I had to get out here and see if I could, if I really was who I said I was.
Yeah.
And if I could do what I said I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But that also made me make that decision, like, yo, dog, I got to make this decision for myself. I can't let my relationship dictate my trajectory.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing for a long time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I call it like you playing pivot, like you pivoting.
Yeah.
It's not like you really moving or you progressing, but it's like you just pivot. You feel like you're growing because you are moving, but you're only going in a circle.
Yeah.
And it's hard to feel like you're not moving it because you are moving, but you're not progressing.
Sure.
You know, and you can't put that on somebody else. Like it wasn't no fault by my own, because I know if the women that I was with, if I had asked them to move across the country with them because of who I am, they would have done it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I also was just unsure of myself. And that doubt I would put on them.
Onto them.
Yeah. And that's something I had a conversation, you know what I'm saying, with the girl I was with before I moved out here. And we had like a little heart to heart, and we talked about it. Like I was telling her, I was like, I was mad stressed out and I didn't even know. And it's because my work life had bled into my personal life.
Yeah.
And I thought it wasn't affecting me.
Yeah.
But it was.
Yeah.
And it was affecting me in ways I would have never really imagined, you know? And I get more to that, I guess, as we progress.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot to
unpack
with this, for sure. A lot more that I want to say. But it's kind of hard sometimes when you're in the thick of it.
Yeah, fresh in it. It's different. You need some perspective, you know?
Yeah.
Get a good look at the situation.
Okay.
You would expect that every show. Puns. I love them. They're the best. But yeah, man, I don't know, man. But as we both set our goals to try to grow, to get where we're trying to be, I guess let's set a vision for the show. Like, what do you think the show's going to be?
My vision for our pod, and after the conversation that you and I just had, because walking into this, I was going to just sort of let you take the lead. And I think initially when we had discussions about it, it was more in the vein of like entertainment and then like career stuff and then like lifestyle. But I think it's probably going to be deeper than that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I love that. You know, like I love having deeper conversations and getting to the root of things and really dissecting, because that's the only way you really grow, you know? So the way that I see this going is we're going to talk about what's going on entertainment wise and in our lives and in the news, but I think it's really going to be personal. I think it's going to be personal for you and me. It's going to be personal for our guests. And I think it's going to be something that really resonates with our viewers. And I think that's the most important part for me. Yeah. Is that people can walk away from this and feel like they got something from it, or they could relate, or, you know, they don't feel alone in the way that they're feeling, you know, because we talk about the hard stuff and the easy stuff, but, you know, the hard stuff. Yeah. Pause. Is that a pause? I've never known how to use that before. Pause. I was hung up on gaslighting versus gas. What's the other one? Gassing up. Whatever. I don't know, man. I'm not good at using the terms.
Jeez Louise, man. The hip hop music, don't understand.
Don't disrespect me like that.
The culture, don't know what that is. What culture? The enzymes in the milk?
I am half black, half Filipino, and you know that Filipinos are the blacks of Asians. I have plenty of culture. Plenty.
Calling yourself a jungle Asian is crazy. It's crazy. But my vision for the pod or the show, because I think it's more of a show. I think that's the progression of this. That's my vision. It's a show. So I think it's going to be a platform where people can come and just talk about their journey and how they got here and where they see themselves going, which is something I feel like is kind of missing in the ether of like shows and content.
I agree.
Everybody always talking about relationships or race relations or sports. Those are the things people talk about. Nobody really talk about, yo, what about you doing? What are you doing for like personal development? And it's not us beating you over the head with like, you gotta drink tea. Wake up, do your yoga, stretch. Drink water. This is my lifestyle. I'm selling this new Alu thing. It costs $150,000. You see it? You should buy one too. Take out a loan. Like it's nothing like that. It's like, no, dog. We just talking about how you get here. And how you see yourself progressing now. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. And I feel like I like that as the vision for the show, you know, and I think that would give us everybody a good look on how they can level up in their personal journeys. You know what I'm saying? But I think this is a solid first episode, bro.
I agree. 1,000%. I'm excited.
Yeah, man.
I'm excited. I'm glad. I'm glad that when I texted you about it and revisited this, your text right away, his text right away was yes. And it wasn't like I can hear your tone through text. I know what you sound like. And I know as soon as you read it and you texted, you were just like, yes. I was just like, solid.
Locked in.
Yeah.
Gotta lock in.
Exactly.
Gotta lock in.
Exactly.
But yeah, man, that's the first show.
Send us out. How are we gonna send it out?
We gotta figure that piece out. I don't have an outro just yet. I used to have one with on my other pod, you know, Beyond Her and Evil. Word to that.
We're not plugging other pods.
I'm plugging
right
everything.
We're not plugging other pods right now. No. It's about this right here, right now. Be present.
I am present.
Be present.
I am present. It's a gift.
That was in the past.
You got to have a vision of the past when to get a good look into the future. You know what I'm saying?
Outro. There we go. Outro.
All right, bro.